Thank you, winners, for joining us for another amazing episode. As you know, this is episode 30, so it is one of the big guns. You know, by now, every 10 episodes or so, we bring a phenomenal guest on to share their story and share some of their very unique wisdom that they can only get through experience. So we have not changed that dialogue at all for you for this one. We have an amazing individual here by the name of JC, who's here to share a few things with us. Thank you, JC, for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
We appreciate it. We also have David here. He's being a little quiet, but he's here.
Hey guys, I'm here. I'm hiding.
JC has a very compelling and long story, but before we dabble into the meat of it, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of how you formed your business, what inspiration you pulled from for that. And I know you have a few passions that you have followed for many years. Could you touch a little bit about who you are as a person and what drew you to those?
Yeah, sure. Man, who am I as a person? I think at the very root of who I am is a public servant. That's kind of the person that I am. I was a special warfare veteran, and prior to that, I actually worked in the 211 system with suicide prevention and all of those things. And I was a firefighter paramedic, and I am also an ultra endurance athlete. So Ironmans, and then anything that lasts longer than 12 hours, I've done it, participated in it, and hated every minute of it. I'm just kidding. I guess I have to say that because people think, it's horrendous, but it's not. It's pretty cool. But if you're asking me about my business, I think it's an accumulation of all of those things. So it's about 18 and a half years of emergency medical experience in finding out what is the most important thing that people need in their lives. And I think it's the short answer to all that is adventure, and that's the goal, right? So the company's called the FeedX Adventure Company, and we train people to be physically, mentally, and spiritually ready for our adventures. So that's kind of what we do, and that's what wakes me up every morning.
That's amazing. Has that been something that you've been involved in since a young age? Is there a turning point where you really became like that was a passion for you, the adventure lifestyle?
I think I probably was just really hard-headed, and like if somebody told me I couldn't do something, I'd be like, just watch me. So so I think that was one of those things. I don't know if there was any specific moment in my life that brought that in me. I think probably the reason that I like to adventure in different parts of the world was certainly because of the military. It took me to all sorts of very neat places, and I didn't get enough from the military, so I did a lot myself. So maybe that's where it stemmed, but I think I had it previously.
I think that's the first time I ever heard anyone say they didn't get enough from the military.
Yeah.
They wanted more. Wow.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. It speaks in a positive manner, it's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, right. Gosh.
I think the military, a lot like my special warfare brethren would say, that is the best time they never want to have again. And so it's certainly, they're very proud of the time that they served and what they did and everything else. Right. But will they do it again? No. You would just, or some people would, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to speak on behalf of everyone out there, but I think I've served my purpose, and I was just prepared to do it my own way. And that was kind of a big driver for me to sayonara when my contract was due.
Yeah. Was there, just out of curiosity, a location that you visited that you were impacted the most by, or that was like the most special to you?
For adventure's sake, there's a lot of beautiful places, right? I think I've visited every single picture-worthy place that you would find in movies like Lord of the Rings and what are the other movie that they're really in Game of Thrones. So really picturesque, like insane mountains, insane scenery. I've been to, if not all, like 95% of those places, but to be honest, actually, the one that actually kind of shifted maybe my mindset was actually Guatemala. And
Really?
Guatemala is just because it's one of those places that you go visit and experience the beauty, but then when you come back, you don't take what you have for granted. So it's
Oh, wow.
so it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool spot to go to. 3 hours away
That
from any major
definitely,
city is when you see true beauty.
that
Wow.
sounds really beautiful. I'm actually
Yeah,
really
it's cool.
jealous. I want to put that
Well
on my
said.
travel list. Guatemala for spiritual awakening. I like that. Okay.
Sure, yeah.
So, yeah. So, during your time, I know that you spoke a little bit that you worked as like a firefighter medic. Do you have any, I want to say like life changing things? I'm sure the whole job is probably life changing, but like anything that made you sit back and kind of take stock of things or any particular moment that stands out in that time?
There's a lot of horrific stories, to be honest, like pretty bad.
Oh boy.
But I think what kind of did it for me was I am often looking for things that increase my confidence because I mean I may seem this way, but I certainly have all sorts of issues, and I have confidence issues. I'm just going to be blunt. Like I don't really have. Uh, for a really long time, I was trying to figure out what was it that I was actually really good at. So because I didn't know what that was, I just kind of just traveled around figuring out what it was. So there was actually one kind of specific. I'm not going to say this is the one, but certainly the one that I recall where it seemed like I was above average than most is taking control of chaos, where you have professionals that are trained and have done something for a very long time. But when certain shit hits the fan, um, it's almost in most people's natures to cover their own face because you don't want to get
Mhm.
shit on your face.
Sure.
but
Okay.
and then certainly help others, right? Immediately, like cover them so they don't get shit on.
Yeah.
But I am I have been very uniquely groomed in that I don't care how much shit is in my own face. I just kind of worry about others, and I perhaps that's why I really wanted to be a PJ, since our motto is that others may live. And maybe that's just kind of like a statement for some, but that's who I am to my core being. So that's what I found out I was good at.
That's
That
amazing,
has
man.
gotta be, like, the most redeeming trait that any person could ever have anywhere, to just
It's kind of this.
put someone else's
Let me just
oxygen
say,
mask on first kinda deal.
Yeah,
everyone out there, I don't care who they are, have confidence issues, right?
yeah,
I
probably.
mean, everyone has that.
Yeah,
But
Feel
you do not look like a man that has those issues. I just want to say that.
yeah, dude.
You look like a dude who is confident through and through.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe I think the compliment you just gave me was just me following the second law, and that second law has gained me the root uh, significance of the word, which is confide. Confide is a Latin word that means with faith. And if I live my life with faith, man, I don't really need confidence. I just need God in my life. So that's kind of all I need.
absolutely beautiful.
It works. Works for you, my friend.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
Hey, in those moments of chaos that you were talking about, does time slow down for you when you're in those chaotic moments? Do you seem to see like time slow and you kind of go through what you need to do?
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
calm and you're handling it. Yeah.
I think the during the alligator attack, I don't know if your audience
Mhm.
knows, but during that attack, it was not like that. But during all of the accidents that I've ever had, yes, I think that you're correct.
Yeah.
I think what actually happens is that everyone else heart rate increases so drastically that they try to catch up physically. So they're always just kind of just
Mhm.
moving around, moving a lot of stuff. But then you look at it from another scope, and they're not doing anything or not doing much. They're just freaking out and getting
Right.
things done.
Just panicking.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it seems like if I am to slow down, take a breath, and look at it, it would seem like literally time is slower for me. So yes, I agree with you on that. But in the particular alligator incident, no, that's not how it went.
Man. So it's a good segue to that. So I know that you were at one point filming a promotional video and got a little bit more than you bargained for with that contractual obligation. Huh?
Or exactly what I needed to do. You know what I mean? Is that certainly,
True.
I don't know if it could have been a better, it's like, it almost seems like it was planned, bro, you know? So, which probably was.
Certainly on one side, it seemed that way.
Yeah. I would not be having this conversation with you and millions of others around the world if it wasn't for that video. Let's be honest, right? So, because one, I am god awful. I am terrible at marketing myself. I am awful at, like, the reason that I'm wearing this shirt here today is because I was actually already wearing it. Nothing to do with the podcast. Nothing to do with anything. I legitimately already had it. And I looked at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I should probably put like a hat on or something. And I put this coat on because that's one of the things out of all the potential deficits that I could have from having such a terrible attack. The only one that is actually bothers me every day is I can't hold my own body temperature in. Like, I get cold super easily since that really long term of antibiotics. I don't know what it was, or maybe because it crushed my temporal bone. I don't know. I don't really care, but I like to put jackets on now, like everywhere.
You're cold-blooded now.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Just like the
nice.
That was pretty good, actually.
He's prehistoric.
That's pretty good.
Oh man.
I don't know if that answered your question. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I just, for those who haven't heard, we have a couple people who haven't heard your stories, so you don't have to go, totally in depth, but can you just briefly tell us about that day?
Sure. So promotional certainly is a good word, but really it was instructional. It was not many people know how to swim outside. Not many people know most people that swim are used to looking at the line underneath them for guidance. When you swim outside of a pool, you actually have to sight. You have to look above the water and you have to see what's next in order to swim towards it. It's a whole thing. It's awesome. But I was there to perhaps explain that a little bit, but also as we go into the U to come back, I wanted to let people know when and where that took place. Okay. So it was for that, because I was a finger of outreach for my company is racing, and I was gonna hold a race. So that's what I was doing there. Oh. And what happened was that I swam directly and head on with a little bit over 12-foot alligator. So we were, you can see it in the video, and perhaps you can put it here, in where I was swimming. I wouldn't tell you how fast I was swimming, but he was swimming much faster than I was. And there was two things that made this collision as bad as it was, and that being, one, its snout. Its snout is like, I don't know if you ever touched an alligator snout, but it's super hard. It's nothing but bone. And the thing probably weighed anywhere from like 500 to like 1,000 pounds from the person that picked it up, or rather craned it out.
Good God.
So it crushed my skull, and then upon impact, it opened its mouth and then bit me. So the injuries there were a smashed temporal bone. My jaw was separated from its hinges and then shattered like in 3 different places here. And then a 3-centimeter deep lacerations throughout my face and my chest, completely lateral like this. And then 1 centimeter deep lashes in the back of my head without puncture through the actual skull, but almost. And what was the other thing that I got?
It's bad when you lose track of the injuries.
Yeah. Well, I guess I bought myself this because during the procedure, they couldn't exactly open up my airway to put in an advanced secure airway. So they needed to do a
Tracheotomy?
tracheotomy. Yeah. So yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
So do you remember after the contact, like trying to get out of there? I mean, what was going through your head? And did you know that you had been bitten at that point, or what was kind of going through your head in that moment?
I think once this now smashed against my skull, I thought the one thing that it felt like I was running directly into a telephone pole. I don't know if any of your audience are athletes or runners, but if they're this is how I remember it. All right. So I've ran with a lot of people throughout my life. And one time in high school, I was running with a really close friend of mine, but the sidewalk is not that wide. Right. So I'm like running kind of in the grass. Well, those are where the telephone poles are. And I'm having a conversation with my buddy, and dude, I ran directly into this telephone pole in that pain, that utter bam. And I started bleeding. It was bad. Was exactly how I felt. But this time I was in water. So I kind of knew that it wasn't a telephone pole, but I also knew that it wasn't
did a pretty good guess.
Yeah, right. And I also in my mind I just didn't think that it was any kind of pole, because I was sightseeing and I knew how far away the dock that I was going to be. Mm-hmm. So when I'll explain this as quickly as I can, because I really like the intricate things about the story, because it allows me to see how God worked in all of this. So that's why I really I spoke to a crocodile conflict expert, and I'm like, listen, dude, this is what I think happened, but can you tell me I'm full of crap? Because I hear as a special warfare veteran, and I know people with all sorts of medals and attributes to their stories, right? And what a lot of people don't know is that certainly they're freaking heroes. Like, I'm not going to take that away. 100% they're heroes. But in order for them to get these medals, these rewards, these acknowledgments, often it is a higher officer that writes the whole thing for them in order to present them, and then they get it. So sometimes the story is not that it's increasing glamour, but I'm a pretty basic dude. You know what I mean? So like if something cool happened, I would just tell you the cool thing that happened. There's no need for me to add any additional words to it. Maybe that's
right.
Maybe that was kind of like my maybe that's an issue that I have. I don't know. But with this story, I'm like, dude, I'm just going to tell it myself, and I'm going to just say how I say it, and that's it. Like, I'm not going to ask anybody to glorify it to be any more. But what's important for me to know the very basic shit that actually happened is for me to just know the truth. You know what I mean? Like, know what I saw in front of me.
Right.
So I told, his name was Flavio. He's a crocodile conflict expert, literally what he does for a living. And I'm like, at the end of our kind of in the beginning of our conversation, rather, I'm like, look, this is what I think happened, and this is what I felt. All right, just tell me if I'm nuts. So I was inside of its mouth for sure, but as I was swimming, I'm going to explain this for your audience. I don't mean to insult your intelligence, but swimming, basically, all it is that you are trying to grab as much water in front of you and propel water underneath you, right? That's kind of the freestyle swim stroke, right? So if you keep that in mind, if I have my right hand above me and instead of water, I touch scales and then teeth, I kind of know where I'm at, right? Like there's no other place. Yeah, right. So the right hand,
bad time.
Yeah. So the right hand touches the scales, but then it goes down because remember, it's trying to propel water underneath me. So that places me, if you see this, that places my right hand in the lower jaw. Okay. And then my left hand, just by muscle memory, I reach out to, once again, grab as much water in front of me and pull it down. But now I already know where I'm at. So instead of finishing my stroke, I land immediately on the top jaw. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Kind of
Yeah.
came up and just grabbed.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you can imagine a jaw right in front of me, I am grabbing the bottom jaw with my right hand with a bunch of teeth, and then grab the left one with my left hand with a bunch of teeth. At this point, I kind of thought that my hands were going to be pretty messed up. But so, and this is kind of where where there's, I could try to say it the most secular way possible for people to understand who don't believe this kind of structure ideology. But in what I believe to be true is that since God is three, we work exactly the same as He does, right? And maybe I'll elaborate on that if you wish. But so in my belief, the third person that is God is the Holy Spirit. Kind of just told my heart exactly what to do, and that was three things. That is, open the mouth, swim to the left dock, and I was going to be okay, right? So if I am opening and it's not like I heard a Moses voice, but you hear his voice exactly how you're supposed to hear it. You'll know. Anyways, so so as all I know, right? Just a simple man. I don't know anything about alligators, dude. Yes, I've lived in Florida, but open its mouth? Like, okay, how am I going to open its mouth? Am I going to stab it in the eye? I'm going to tickle its belly? Like, you know what I mean? So
good to know.
yeah. So because I only know one way of opening its mouth, I think of a can, right? So I go like this. Yeah. So and that's exactly how my hands land. Just FYI. That's and additionally, incredible, intricate part of the miracle is that if I would have been attacked any other way than the way that it approached, how about this? A centimeter more to the left or to the right, I would have been dead, or blind, or blind, or complete deficits. I would not be talking to you. I'd be talking to you through something else, and in not coherent words. So all of that, right? So as I'm attempting to open it, or not attempting, rather, I grab and pull and push, I guess, pull and push, because my hands are in the jaw, like I explained to you before, right? So that's the only thing I know. That's the only thing I know is just to do that. Well, so I explained to Flavio that I felt as if I turned it did not turn me, but I knew that sounded ridiculous. That sounds crazy because this thing is like way outweighs me. It also outswims me. It does everything, right? Like all its teeth, everything. It makes no sense. And then he also, in my mind, I also said that the physics also doesn't make sense, right? So because we're floating. I don't have my feet on the ground. I'm floating. I'm treading, or rather, at the time that I'm doing it, I'm probably treading water with my feet, which is something that I'm pretty familiar with. Or rather, no, if you look at the video, I never got to tread water. It was just an immediate turn. But what I told him was that I felt like I turned it because I felt like my lower body followed the turn. So picture this.
Okay.
If I was inside of its mouth, right? And I'm talking so deep that I don't know if you can actually see. My scar goes all the way to the side of my face, all the way down to where like my mustache starts. The thing is that if I have my hand up here in the swim stroke and I lower my shirt, you see a scar. I don't know if you can actually see it. You'll see like when I get a sunburn, it's probably like 3 inches long. But if I go just like this and just don't swim, you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Why is the line the complete opposite side of, did you get bit twice? Did you get scratched? But if you put it like this is how deep I was inside this bastard's mouth. Oh, Lord. This is how
God damn.
So it looked like you were in there just on the video. I mean, like it swallowed and spat you out, it looked like.
Well, to be fair, it's not even that it's not even that it bit me that hard. It's more like I was just free food, bro. I swim directly into this thing's mouth. Like I went all the way back to the tonsils, it seemed like, or from my feeling of the tooth, it was just an unusually large alligator. It was an unusually large alligator. So
it looked like it.
Yeah, dude, it was gnarly. I never actually got to see it because I was in the hospital for a while. But from the guy that caught it, which was a neighbor, like 8 days later when I was released, the gator season opened up, and they're like 95% sure that this was it.
Mm-hmm.
But so when I turned it, when I told Flavio that I felt like I was turning it, what I actually did, according to him, was that he has seen. You probably have heard this to be true for large sharks. That's what orcas do to sharks to knock them out and eat their liver. I didn't know it was a possibility for alligators. I didn't know. And it's called placing the alligator in a state of tonic immobility.
Mobility, yep.
Yeah. So what I actually did by opening its mouth is that I'm not going to open it, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm strong, but dude, I'm not that strong.
Not that strong.
So I instead of opening it, what I was actually doing was I was actually turning it. So as I turn it quick enough, I reacted quicker than it reacted to me. As I turned it, he was explaining this to me. You can't see this in the video, and I can't tell you for a fact. It's just what an expert said, is that he has seen often larger alligators and even smaller ones. They don't even have to be turned to the side like 15 degrees. They'll fall asleep. Their eyes will make like a little stigmas situation, and then they'll tuck their paws.
Little arms.
Yeah, they'll tuck their little T-Rex hands down, and they and that way they're not grabbing that much water, because that's how they're usually able to turn their prey. So as soon as their hands kind of come closer to their body, it becomes a little bit more easier, or rather manageable, to turn them, right? But you kind of have to know what to do there. So when that happens, I think we go underneath for a little bit, and then I pop up. It pops up later, and that's what it seems like. It just kind of came up like this, as if it had just woken up.
Sleep.
Like like I knocked it out, put it to sleep, just enough time for me to swim to the left dock. Remember, because I said left dock. If you look at the video, there's a dock to the right that's actually much closer. But I think by now I know how to follow orders. So I go to the left dock. So I go to the left dock, and when I get out, the story gets much longer here, because now we're in a separate place. But I managed to get out of this dock that was, I think we measured it, it was probably like 3 to 4 feet above the water. So I had to
That's some ridiculous upper body strength.
I don't know how I got up there, dude. So I got up there, and the first thing that I checked were my hands, because I thought my hands were pretty jacked up. I just did kind of like a quick little triage on myself to figure out if I have any arterial bleeds, which is I needed to figure out if I had seconds, minutes, or if I was going to be okay. But the third thing is, I was going to be okay. So now, instead of really worrying about myself and freaking out, I was kind of concerned with my boy over there who had the drone. If I wasn't going to come back, dude, he thought I'm dead. Like, that's it. Like, I have no idea where I'm at. And as the crow flies, it's about 250 meters. But if you're out of the water and throughout all the neighborhoods and stuff, it's more like a half a mile. So it's not exactly something that I was going to walk and go over. But the left dock had a bunch of houses, and I ended up finding some kids who found their parents, and then we got into the car, then we drove, and then I met the guy, and then I drove to the ambulance, and yeah, the story gets longer.
If you would have went against the direction that you received and went to the right dock, was there not as many opportunities for help on that side? Like, would have potentially made anything worse for you? Just curious.
Yeah.
It sounded like
yeah, actually, that's a cool
mention.
Yeah, no, that's a cool question. So that's something that I found out later when I went in there for like some, I don't know, I can't remember what news people took me over there and did like a recording, but I didn't know at the time. So that dock actually belongs to the bigger house in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And that big house is it's just one dock. It's not, instead of an HOA dock, it's just one individual dock. There was actually a fence not just the fence that I would have to probably jump over because it was locked.
Right.
There is also that man has a lot of guns and is often drunk
Oh,
a lot of
gosh.
the hours of the day. So if I went,
He would have been no help at all.
so I don't know, dude. This is one thing, and this I think goes back to me sticking to what I know and where I don't kind of play around with what ifs. I would just say maybe that's like a 75% truth, right? Like this guy, because maybe he's not. Maybe that story is, whatever.
Yeah,
but the one thing
sure.
I do know that it would have been way harder. And let's just go with numbers. How about that? There's a bunch of houses here, which I didn't really know, and there's just one house. So just by the numbers, never mind the possible drunk guy with a bunch of guns. But the one that was right, I didn't even have to go into a house. Like those kids found me in the middle of the day at 2:00 in the afternoon. They're homeschool and their mom was home. So that was that. Yeah.
You were definitely directed the right way. That's
Oh yeah, 100%.
Follow orders, boys and girls. Okay, listen to your parents.
Yeah.
So regarding your recovery, I mean, what kind of setbacks and things like that were you experiencing throughout the recovery from this?
I think there was an allotted amount of time for me to have a mandatory sit down. Like it was quite literally mandatory, because I think I am often in places in where a wall presents itself, and it's just my nature to figure out how I can jump over it, go around it, or smash through it. Well, with this one, I couldn't. Like, I literally didn't have a piece of my skull, and I was receiving IV antibiotics like every day, multiple times a day. So I couldn't, dude. Like, I could pretend, but it would, or rather I really could have, but it would have actually been a detriment, not just to myself, but the people that really care about me. So I said, not worth it. So it was kind of a mandatory time to just sit down, write a whole bunch, and do a lot of the stuff that I don't really like to do, which is sitting down.
Yeah.
Taking it easy.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So being that this kind of did help with, the reach that you have with what you do, I did want to mention a little bit, you do a lot of stuff for charity. So has that always been something that you've been involved in, or is this something more recent that you've started?
My own, I started this year, rather, like it actually set off this year. But I have been working with different organizations in the past, and all I've really done is I've attached my ability to do something for a really long time, and I tried to raise awareness and funds for it. There's this pretty popular thing among cyclists that is called Everesting, and I think the name gives it away. But you just find a hill or a mountain close to you, and you repeat it until you reach the height of Mount Everest, which is 29,032 feet. But the first time that I did it, I had a bunch of my firefighting gear. I had a bunch of my military equipment that I've kept, and I found kind of like the worst machine that I could find, and I thought that it was going to be stationary, so I was just going to keep it, one camera on me, and I've attached myself to an organization that finds forever families for foster kids. The idea was that I was going to climb this thing for like 6 hours with a bunch of equipment. I was going to get donations, so I did that. And then the next year we did it on a bike, and we brought like 12 different people to come. 12? I can't remember how many people, but we raised a whole bunch of money for leukemia and lymphoma. And then this year we did it. This year we did it, or rather I did it myself after getting the whole incident happening. And then we raised money. We didn't reach our goal, but that's okay, in order to continue coaching and mentoring foster kids that we particularly work with. So that's I don't know
That's
if that answers the
fantastic, man.
question.
Is that
That's
last month
amazing.
you did the you did that last month, did you not, on the 25th?
Yeah. So, well, that time I was back on the Jacob's ladder. This time the goal was 2.5 times the
Mhm.
height of Mount Everest. And it took me like 12 hours, and it was to the point where I was just diminishing returns, bro. We weren't racing the money that we wanted to, but rather we were getting kind of the right exposure, and it served its purpose. And I think money maybe was not the purpose of that event,
Right,
and that's
right.
okay.
You brought
But
attention to it, which was fantastic, man. You
yeah,
know what
we
I'm
brought
saying?
attention to it, and I think the video by itself, if we had recorded it, okay, I just being on this stupid machine for this, it's a torture machine. I don't know if you guys have ever been on a Jacob's ladder, but it's
Mm-mm.
certainly like
It looks terrible.
unless you are training to actually hike at that angle for that long
Uh-huh.
continuously, there's absolutely no reason that you should get on that thing. It is what it is, man. But
Sounds
And
awful.
is it
I will
okay to
take that advice.
mention the
what?
what you were doing it for? I believe it was called Nurturing Resilience. Is that
Yeah, Nurturing
okay?
Resilience Incorporated.
Great,
That's our nonprofit. That's our pinky
beautiful.
finger. That's our pinky finger promise of our company to. It certainly is for foster, but it has turned into foster and beyond as we connect with veterans, firefighters, and police. To essentially what we do as a company is that we coach breathing, posture, and confidence, and it's kind of an alignment to prevent and help the suicide statistic, the depression, the anxiety, all these manifestations that we just need kind of a little helping hand in these career fields.
That's great,
That's
man. That's
amazing.
really fantastic.
That's right.
Nurturing Resilience.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
it.
So for people who are wanting to get involved in that, is there like on your website, is that a place where we can donate to that, or how can we get involved in helping you?
I think that the charity portion actually ended last week, but I think if people really wanted to get behind this and actually are in the area, I would certainly would need to either open up another account or there's a contact form on the website. I know this is kind of difficult instead of just clicking a button somewhere,
Right.
but if people were to find me on the website, I think there's a link.
For
Yeah,
sure.
love to try to help them get involved in that way, whatever we
Well,
can.
JC,
Okay, now real quick, because I know it's been a while now since this happened. So I do want to play the interview that was held on America Reports that was done right after this happened. So I'm going to play that here real quick.
On August 3rd, JC Defeats was at Lake Thonotosassa shooting an instructional video for an upcoming event through his company, Defeat X.
I always preach mitigated risk, and that day I threw that completely out the window.
The 34-year-old says he forgot his swim cap and goggles and didn't do any of his usual safety precautions when swimming in a body of water. A drone was filming from above as JC started swimming. You can see an estimated 12-foot-long alligator darting straight for him.
I was chomped down on this side completely.
The jaws of the gator came down on his head and upper torso. The attack lasted only seconds, but JC tells us the entire time he knew he would make it out alive.
An unbelievable amount of faith in myself that I wasn't going to die. I was going to be okay. But I needed to act. For sure.
It could have been luck or instinct, maybe a higher intervention. But JC says he put his hands in the alligator's mouth, feeling the teeth, struggling and rolling in the water.
She let go. And she didn't have to let go.
He immediately started swimming for a nearby dock. Once out of the water, the adrenaline wore off and the intense pain hit. JC was also losing a lot of blood. Neighbors called for help, and JC was rushed to Tampa General Hospital as a trauma alert.
We were just all there, just kind of huddled together, praying. And, we didn't know what to expect. What I saw in the ER was bad.
The veteran and firefighter underwent a 6-hour surgery. The force of the alligator's bite crushed his head, broke his jaw, and damaged a facial nerve.
The bite crushed his skull and it punctured his brain, so they ended up having to do a craniectomy, remove part of his temporal lobe.
JC spent just 8 days in the hospital, being discharged last week. Christine calls him a walking miracle for how well he is doing after such extreme trauma.
Overwhelmed and grateful and thankful that he was alive and well, and we could see that he was coherent and that neurologically everything was intact.
JC isn't out of the woods yet. There's still a risk of infection. His jaw is wired shut for another few weeks, and he will have to go back for one last surgery to place a plate over his brain. But he wants people to know he is okay and is leaning on faith and family to carry him through. Hopeful others can find a light in their lives as a reason to keep moving forward.
What I'm asking you to be tough. Because the world is a really difficult place. And man, it's a challenging to maneuver without God and ultimately Jesus Christ in your heart.
Catherine Hawley, Fox 13 News.
So I really, really love that article or that interview that takes place pretty soon after the incident. Definitely recommend you guys looking that up as well as the video. If you follow us on social media, JC has given us permission to post the video, so we will be posting the drone footage and any other little interviews we find that we feel really just capture his heart. So really thankful, JC, that you took time to come today and share this with us and this incredible story of endurance and faith, and I'm just so grateful that you took time out to share it with us. I do have a treat for you guys, you listeners, for April Fools, since we are releasing the day after. Stick around to the end here because we have a little treat for you. Thank you, JC, again. For all you guys listening at home, stay alive and go follow JC Verde over on Instagram, JC Defeats. That's JC Defeats, DEFEATS. And follow him on social media. You can also hit him up at joindefeatx.com. And he's on Facebook as well. So go check him out. Amazing, amazing story of endurance and survival. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as promised, here's your April Fool's prank, courtesy of moi. So for this little April Fool's joke that I had to play on my co-host, I decided to call David the night before this episode was due to air and tell him that it didn't upload and that there was nothing on there. Now, he's a tough nut to crack, and he was getting pretty suspicious, so I had to play up the theatrics. So please enjoy this few minutes of David trying not to panic. At the end, he did figure out it was an April Fool's joke, but it took him a minute, and I still thought this was worthy of sharing.
What the hell?
Sorry, I don't know what the fuck happened. It kicked me off. So don't freak all the way out yet, because I'm freaking all the way out yet, but this entire episode did not record.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And,
It did not record.
it's me talking. You can't hear you or Jason at all. Or JC, at all. Not a single word. It's just me.
Okay, so don't freak out. Why?
Because I'm freaking out? I don't know. I mean, what do I do?
Oh, I thought you knew something.
No, I mean, I'm going to reach out to Podcastle, but they're not going to get it fixed by 5 o'clock, so what the hell do I do?
I don't know. What? Fuck. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of is the contact goes asshole.
I'm going to have to, but do I just wait until before the recording tomorrow and put a technical difficulties post out and then reach out to JC and let him know that there was an issue and see if we can re-record, or what do I don't even know how to begin to fix this. It's literally, we're not even 24 hours out. We're 12 and some hours out.
Yeah, do that.
Okay.
What else were you going to do? I mean,
I don't know.
trying to re-record or because...
I'm gonna ask, but when I fucking talked to him the first time, he's busy for weeks and he fit us in last minute, so I'm not real hopeful this is gonna happen tomorrow. I just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of sucks. We put posts out and advertise this and everything. All right, well.
Do you think I'm gonna look at things
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I was just hoping you'd think of a solution. You what? I did, but it showed my recording, and I didn't even look at the whole thing. I just saw that it had like little lines where the sound was, and I was like, it's good. And then I closed it out. But I just pulled it up. I just got home and pulled it up, and there's definitely nothing on there. I'm like,
Well, there you have it. And if you're going to say that wasn't that big of a freak out, I know. It's David, okay? Have you heard him? If you can get him better than I did, then you let me know, and I will air it on the show because it is hard to trick him. Plus, I made the mistake of trusting his girlfriend by telling her my plan. That was the big mistake because later on in the call, you can hear her telling him. So thanks, Angie. Appreciate you, girl. The camaraderie. All right, guys. Love you. Have a good night. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.